and you're trying to not leave the house, and then one of your puppies gets something wrong with his eyes. Brought him up to our nearest vet, and they got really strict rules at the moment due to COVID-19. I had to wait out on their veranda, make sure I had a mask on, they had masks on. Then they came and took him away, checked on him, then brought him back out. Everything's like gloves and everything. So I figured while I've got him here, I'll give him a little bit of exercise around the car park, since there's nobody up here right now, so it's okay. Take him back. He's got to have some dental work done because he's got some ick in his gums, which could be causing a bit of the issue with his eyes, because that happened with his brother once. Hey, new one. You had a brief escape. Working from home day has ended. Laptop's off. And at about 2 o'clock, I mean, it was looking like I could probably get down and do some stuff outside. But you can probably hear the rain. It started raining between 1 and 2 a little bit, and then it just settled in as a steady rain from about 2 o'clock. And because I haven't really got a workshop to work in, I usually set my saw up outside. Decided to come out after all. The other night, after looking through all this timber and stuff, I actually did just spent the evening pulling apart and denailing some of that old framing. I actually think I've got enough stuff for what I need. Some of the 90 stuff I'll still have to trim down to 70, but it's all 35 thick, so it'll all be like a 2x3. You can see here, I sort of wrote the measurements that I need out of each piece. So I'm pretty sure I've got everything I need for the main frame. All the noggins and stuff are out of all the short bits of all the offcuts. So I might actually see if I can just get my little drop saw out. I might be able to dock stuff up and start getting the pieces cut to size. I definitely need to get my bottom and top plate done for the one that's underneath the floor joist, so that I can sit that in and then just double check the full measurement that I need, because I don't want to cut those short or long. Long isn't too bad because they just trim it, but I don't want to cut them short. It's 4:45. Might be able to get something done. It's bin night tonight too, so I've got to get some of our stuff up in the bins and ready to go out. Hopefully do it while it's not so heavy in the rain. So a new water got into the bottom of my shed, because it's not waterproof at the bottom and everything just runs downhill. But this is all wet. And it's like, but I've only just opened the shed. It's like the water has been pounding in here and splashing up onto the base of my saw table. That ain't cool. That's particle board, I think. If it's like this, it's plywood. Gosh, I hope it's plywood. That'll survive longer than particle board. Little Sam up to the vet next town up because he had like a swelling around under his eye the other day when I brought him up here. His teeth aren't that great, which we knew. He's come up here to have some dental work today. His brother had swelling under his eye a few years back, and it turned out to be his gums. Had infection in his gum, and it was getting right up into his eye. They gave him some eye drops. There wasn't anything in his eye, which was one of the things we were thinking as well. They're going to look after his teeth. I'll come back up and get him this afternoon. Good thing it's not far from home. I was able to drop him up here. I can still get back to the house and get into the study and log on for work. A few more students log in yesterday. Like I said the other day, while it's a little disheartening to not have your students log in, I do know that quite a few collected the work from school as a written booklet because they don't have internet at home. There's work for them and it's the same. For the most part, it's all the same work. I guess the kids that are logging on just get the opportunity to ask questions, and teaching remotely has been an interesting experience. I'm sure if you ended up having to do it long term and there was a really big expectation that this is it, you would probably find more kids getting on. Like our school is actually organising for devices for students who don't have them, in particular senior students who need to keep up with their HSC studies. We'll see how it all goes. Come over all overcast, though it's glary but not sunny. I was intending today to try and do some video recordings for my students, and I set this up behind me to try and green screen using something like Zoom, and I tested out it works. The camera from the computer still sort of just picks up those outside edges. Try moving it forward a bit, and there's not much room behind me. You might be able to hear there's some workers with the water authority working on the we've got a sewer area down the back, basically deals with all the streets around here and then sends it off to the treatment plants and that sort of stuff. They're doing some sort of work down there, and they've been there for days, but today you can just hear the power tools. You can hear their radio all day, and they talk loud. So there's no way I could try and do a video explanation lesson for my class without having any of that sort of stuff all through the back of it. I've even tried. Close the window, it's still too loud. It's Saturday. Don't really want to go out, but I've had to. Had some prescriptions come in at the chemist, so I had to come down to get those. Live in an area that has a lot of elderly people, so I'm not the only one wearing a mask. It's actually good to see a lot of the elderly people actually looking after themselves and thinking, I better wear a mask if I've got to go out, and they're in there just trying to get their medications. My wife did some online shopping at the cruelty-free store down in the city, and they have a warehouse where they get stuff together to either mail out or you can pick it up. And we said, well, we're ordering a lot of stuff that's frozen. I said I'll go in and collect it, and they just said, you can park right out the front. It's already paid for. They can just bring it out and I can just chuck it in the esky. That's all the way down in Petersham. The fridge that we ordered to replace our current one because the ice maker had broken, and for a long time we've just sort of thought it's not really big enough for our needs, because you want to make some meals and freeze them and use them later on, and you run out of room in the freezer. After that big one that we went, geez, that's too big, the freezer, we just thought get a new fridge freezer. I can finally go collect it. I got to collect it from their warehouse down in Auburn. So with the whole thing of not wanting to go out, do everything in one trip. A lot of people walking dogs, and it was interesting just then going past the bowling club, and they've got massive barricades on the driveway, so you can't go in. So obviously everything's got to be closed down. Earlier this week, the rules in New South Wales or Australia was basically stay home unless you have to go out. So you can go out to go shopping, but that's one thing you'd want to try and avoid too. Or if you actually have to go out and work, they had to say like no group gatherings outdoors, and at one point it was like maximum 10 people. It's now maximum 2. Your only reason for being out is going to work, going to the shop. They've said specific exercising, so you've got to be exercising. It depends on which state you're in as to how stringent they're getting with that. Down in Victoria, it's like you've got to be either out running, walking the dog or something. You can't go play golf. You can't go fishing. Apparently in New South Wales and Queensland, you can still play golf, you can still go fishing. But they said there was one guy down in Melbourne who was just sitting on a park bench eating a kebab, and he was told to move on, and he kept refusing, and so the police fined him. There's been some people talking about, watch out, this could become a police state, they may not want to give that power back. I know there's a number of staff at my school that are still going into school. Most faculties are sort of rotating their staff, day on, day off, that sort of stuff, to minimise the number of people in the room. I'm not going in at all. I can work from home. The announcement from our education secretary on Thursday afternoon, there's always been this thing of how many teachers are making use of technology in their teaching, and the number they always said was never really that high, something like 30%. Now it's gotten to a point that we're going to have to be 100% because parents are being asked to keep their kids at home, and we've got to do online learning as much as possible. As long as they can do this, I'm really pleased with it, and that's trying to get devices into the hands of students who don't have anything, and then internet dongles for students that don't have internet access. So the principals need to basically contact homes and find out, and then they're going to basically, they've said they need to prioritise year 12s because it's their final year. They cancelled work placement for any vet student, which is fair enough. Work placements are already saying that they couldn't take people on, but NESA had to basically make that decision. Drama group performances are cancelled, music group performances are cancelled, which is just as well. I don't know whether that means they're going to still have to do their individual performances. And then they're going to be meeting this week to discuss major projects, major works in visual arts, textiles design, major projects, design technology, industrial technology, that's our one. Wait and hear, because that's been one of our biggest concerns about our year 12s. Because one of the other things that they said was we could be under these circumstances of schools being pretty much closed and stay at home, don't go out, for 3 months.
which takes us to the end of term 2. Unlike the Northern Hemisphere, we're only just at the start of our school year. We have to write reports based on term 1 up until we went remote, and then figure out what we're going to have to do from then on. It's very much possible that we will not be back at school as we would normally see it until term 3, which is end of July, mid to late July. That might have to be figured out again, because that's right in the middle of our winter. And this hitting us now, as we're heading into winter with me, is one of the reasons why this could go on a lot longer down here. And for those who've never heard of the name Cruelty Free, the Cruelty Free shop is their products are vegan and or animals were not tested on, harmed, whatever. So, and there's only one of them. It's down in the city, but their warehouse is a bit closer this way. But it said it was like an hour and a quarter drive from the house. The warehouse doesn't open till 11, and it's 9:45 now, so I'll probably be there a little bit early, but they said there's parking right at the front, so hopefully I can get that parking. And being a weekend, it's on Parramatta Road. Being a weekend, you should be able to park in front of it anyway. Weekdays, they may not be able to, so. That's the Cruelty Free shop, or their warehouse. It's basically just a shop front on Parramatta Road. So, just sitting on Parramatta Road in Petersham. Glad the parking is right at the front, and they just gave me my order. I've just checked it off, and now I'm heading to get the fridge. It's an interesting time when you can walk into a store dressed like this and nobody bats an eyelid. Before this, they would have been thinking you're coming in to rob the place. I got the fridge. You can see the blue in the background. That's the tarp I put over it, just in case we have rain on the way. Forecast is for beautiful sun, but a real strong wind has blown in here as well. So, and with this on the top, in the back, it's about 2.8 meters tall. So that's about 9 feet, 4 inches, roughly. I know it's tied down well, but the tarp is going to start flapping about. But I wrapped rope around it a few times to try and contain the tarp, as well as having my ratchet straps over the top and then a rope around it, tying it to the bar at the back. And so it shouldn't move. It just feels nice and solid. But it's just going to be like a giant parachute on the back of the truck for the whole trip home, and with this wind. Anyway. Here's a lesson in checking your pockets before you throw stuff in the wash. Those there are the repeats from my medications. One of them I was actually going down to get, and they didn't have any in stock, so they gave that back to me and I threw it in my pocket. But as I was going through it, I found out that there was another medication script in there as well, which I need for my arthritis and my nerve issues in my neck and back. And I still had 2 repeats on it. Bugger it. I have to get in touch with the doctor somehow. Crap.